And so this was an interesting booking. I met Kiano about a year and a half ago. She was at an author event put on by Simon Elements, where they had all their cookbook authors for all of 2024 who came out. And she was such a dynamic speaker and left such an impression that I waited until finally her book was out and the festival came around to have her here. So it's a real big honor. You guys are in for a real treat today. She is a content creator, a recipe developer, a producer. She has her own production studio, Jacani Studios. She used to be at BuzzFeed's Tasty, where her videos amassed over 100 million cumulative hits, which is just absolutely incredible. And she actually also has, I want to mention that she has a pop-up. So if you want to taste her food, unfortunately the health department's not allowing tastings today, as much as some of some of the chefs, have been giving out food. But you can sample her food. She is at Melody, which is in East Hollywood. East Hollywood on Vigil Street, and she'll talk about that and what's on the menu. So without further ado, please welcome the author of Afrikali, Kiano Moju.
No, all good. Hi everyone. Gosh, I wish it was so warm and sunny, but we can pretend, right, that we're somewhere maybe on the coast of Kenya. So today we're gonna be making probably one of the most deceitfully simple recipes from Afrikali. We call them lentil nuggets, and you will quickly see why, because anything you plop into oil will look like a chicken nugget. But they're actually akara. Akara is a bean fritter. Think of it as falafel's West African cousin. In Nigeria, we call them akara. If you go to Brazil, to Bahia, they call them acarajé, where they have made them even more fabulous. But today we're going to do the version I have in Afrikali, and we'll learn a little bit about West African food, as well as some East African influence that's in there. And please ask questions along the way, because why not? Let's just have a conversation. This is not a lecture. Even though we're at school, we can pretend we're not right now. So first, what we start with is some red lentils. Typically, akara is made with black-eyed peas. And if you've ever cooked beans, you know a bean comes with a skin on it. And to make a dish like this, you have to skin each bean. Can never be me. So instead of the black-eyed peas, we use the red lentils, which usually are sold split. They're ready to go. You just soak them in water, couple hours, ideally the day before, because the more soaked these are, the fluffier and lighter they'll be. If you don't soak it, they'll taste good. They might be like a hockey puck. If that's what you want in your food, do that. Otherwise, give it a soak, set it and forget it, and then in a food processor or blender. And we're just gonna dump them right in there, get rid of as much water as you can. And then I'm gonna add in some red onion, and you're just gonna cube it up. You don't have to do much chopping because the machine will do all of that for you. This is a big onion, so we'll use half. And then, as well as a habanero, which you're gonna find a lot in Nigerian food, a lot of habanero use. If you don't like chili or pepe, you can take out the seed. You can do whole one, half one, but don't skip it. I cook a lot with chilies as a person who cannot handle a lot of spicy food, because chilies have such great flavor. So if you like delicious food but you can't handle heat, just scrape out the seeds and you're good. And we are gonna whip this until it is so light and fluffy, so bear with a little bit of noise for a second. This isn't plugged in. Thank you. And so this is one of the dishes we're serving, as you mentioned, at our pop-up right now. I'm gonna make a lot of noise right now. Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. All right, so while this is doing its thing, I'm gonna come over here and make even more noise so you can get it all happening at once for a dipping sauce. Typically, akara, it can come with a sauce, but it's very much a street food, very much breakfast, have a piece of bread. But a dip is a dip, and we gotta have a dip. And so we're gonna take some sweet chili, but make it a little bit more fun by adding in mango. So it's like a semi-homemade, but chandel sandra leaf for all the fun parts. Just one mango off the pit, and then a little bit of water to help it go. That's doing its thing, it's doing good. And then we're gonna let this one go too. And it was on, absolutely fabulous. And that's that. So to make the sauce, I think we have one already made. All you're gonna do is take that blended mango, add it to sweet chili, let it become friends, simmer together for a little bit, and then boom, you now have a homemade sauce. It's very delicious. All right, let's check on our lentils here. Isn't that wonderful, like how it's completely a paste now? We're gonna scrape it down just so everything gets in there. And you could totally stop, but if you want them to be like little light clouds, you're gonna let the machine do a lot of work for you and make it incredibly fluffy. And that's how they're gonna be super light, and you can eat 10 of them without feeling full. I'm gonna turn on the heat too. That's ready. Has anyone ever had akara before? We got one. Are you Nigerian? Yes, this is why. My brother, why are you standing? Rest your legs. Hi. Okay, so this is what we want. And this is why I also call them lentil nuggets. If you've ever seen a video of how McDonald's chicken nuggets are made, it's pretty gnarly stuff. But it's basically a pink paste that they shape. And what do we have here? A nice pink paste, but it's beans instead of whatever's in those nuggets. I'm gonna get this into a bowl, and it's so fluffy. I love this mix. And this is like great finger food appetizer. We actually have these today for breakfast with just a fried egg on the side. This is an all day, all night great snack, but it's just lentils. And we're just gonna season them a little bit. It's incredible how it can transform just by whipping it. And this is kind of a great example recipe of what is in Africali. I wrote this book very much bearing in mind, what do we want on our everyday? It's not a full travel cookbook. I look to my heritage. My mom right here is from Kenya. My dad's from Nigeria. And, I want those tastes every day. I don't necessarily want to make a 3-hour stew after work, but I need that flavor. So the book focuses on how do we get those flavors and dishes into our everyday cooking, but also shopping at whatever grocery stores around the corner from us instead of having to hunt for specialty markets. So even though you've never had, except for one person, akara before, y'all know where to find lentils, you know where to find onions, you know where to find chilies. And that's really what Africali is about. Using the ingredients you know, but in a different way that will transport you to Africa through food, but you just really went to Whole Foods and you can do that. So I'm gonna season this. This is like kind of where I break a little. There's something about this pink paste that is unappealing to me because it will hold its pink color. So I like to add just a little bit of turmeric in there. So they're nice golden yellow. It's really just to be cute. There's not enough to change the flavor. And then to season it, you could just use salt. I use salt all the time, but if you want like more depth of flavor and make it feel like you added a dash of your whole pantry without that effort, bouillon cubes. Bouillon, whatever bouillon you got, that's the one we're going to use. Chicken, beef, but the best one, which is surprisingly the trickiest one to find, is a shrimp bouillon. The shrimp bouillon has that umami in it, and it just makes this so delicious. But if you're plant-based or vegetarian, veggie bouillon or just salt, it's fine. They'll taste good. You're just like making it more fun and more great. So we're gonna fold that in super light because what we don't want to do is get rid of all that fluff. And then in addition to seasoning, we're gonna add in some vegetables. I call this self-garnishing food Because some foods, you have to cook the thing and then you put it on the plate and it might be delicious and you're thinking, why does this not look like all the food on my Instagram feed? And so by adding in herbs and peppers, they're going to be pretty straight out the fryer because we are putting garnishes inside. So I call this self-garnishing. I try to do this to as much of my cooking as possible because once I'm done cooking, I'm done. I don't want to keep doing stuff. So adding in some chopped bell pepper, you're going to see that color poking through. And do it nice and tiny because if they're too big, they're going to deflate all that air we put in. So everything that goes in, if you want to fold stuff in, make it small and make it lightweight. So a little bit of bell pepper, that's more or less fine. And then some fresh herbs. And this also will add to great flavor. And of course, make it pretty. And you can do whatever combination you want. So this is a great way to use up whatever's in your fridge. Just don't use anything that's hard. So don't use rosemary or thyme, soft herbs. So cilantro, parsley, chives, soft herbs only. And then if you really want good herb flavor, don't cut it more than once. One cut only. The more you cut your herbs, you're bruising it. And then you're not gonna have as great flavor. So we'll do some cilantro. We'll do a little bit of chive. And with the chives, you can go a little bit, I like them slightly longer because they really poke out. There's squirrely one. Boom, that's enough of that. And then I'm just gonna fold this right into my bowl. That's good. Let's check our oil. Ooh, she needs time. And so we're gonna go a little delicate. Any questions, y'all? Because I know you guys have never made this before. Are we all following along pretty okay? Yeah. Yes. Ooh.
It all looks really good. I'm just scared of the deep fry in the oil already. Is there an alternative if you're trying to be light on oil?
I love that question because I've learned a lot of people are scared of a lot of oil in a pot, but there are a couple tips I'll show you guys to do it safe where you're not going to set your house on fire, you're not going to burn yourself because it takes a little caution, but we're going to call this is like a shallow fry. Deep fry, I think, is like you're fully covering the thing in there. We have about, say, a ½ inch of oil, but I'll show you how to do that really nice and safe. Thank you. And so I'm just folding this because if I went in and went boom, 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 whipped it, everything we did will just collapse. They'll still be delicious, but they're not going to be light and fluffy that like we want it. And so be really light here.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
We were talking about the oil, not necessarily for safety, but for nutrition. Like
For nutrition.
For consuming the oil, I think. Like if we consume too much oil, that's kind of where we were coming from.
So when you're cooking food in oil, there's an idea that I don't want it to be greasy, so I'm going to put a little bit of oil in the pan so I don't need too much. What actually happens is when there's not enough oil to cover your food will soak in more oil. So if you don't want greasy food, you have to get your oil to the right temperature, but use more than you think because then it won't soak it in. It'll actually just like shock the outside and create a barrier. And so when you're cooking in oil, the outside's browning, everything's getting crispy, and that heat is going inside and steaming the inside. If there's too little oil, it's not hugging your food, you're not getting that steam, and so your food just starts soaking it like a sponge, and then even though you put like a little bit of oil in the pan, these are gonna be greasier. So pick a bottle of oil, use it for your frying, keep it on moderate, and then just clean it and keep it to the side, but use more and your food will absorb less. All right, let's see if this oil is ready. And this is another thing, because some people, they check their oil by splashing water. That is a pro auntie move. If you're not a pro auntie, don't do that. So what I like to do is, on a spoon, something that's heat proof, we're just gonna put a little bit on. Just a little bit. And we're gonna just put the tip. And if you can see, can y'all see this? I don't know what the camera's on right now. Do we have bubbles here? No. So she's not ready. No thermometer. We do the school of auntie with while cooking. There's tips and tricks. Numbers are great to set a timer. I will do that, but temperatures and all that, cook by intuition first, get your math second. This is what I'll say. And so, yeah.
So I'm really curious about how they form because I'm thinking like it would be like an egg or like breadcrumbs or something. So is it the lentils that are keeping it together?
So
Is the
with
lentils
this
keeping
batter, it is kind of loose, and the more it's, you gotta like kind of pick, what do you want? Do you want perfect shape or do you want texture? Because the more you aerate it, the looser it's gonna be. And so if I just like pulsed it around, if any of you guys ever made falafel before, it can be like a little crumbly, and then you can like shape it and make a perfect circle, but it's gonna be dense. And so you can either have denser shaped or free-formed and light. And I will take light and free-form over a perfectly shaped hockey puck. So we're just gonna scoop and plop.
Hey, quick question. So, what kind of oil would traditionally be used as cooking oil, especially for this in Nigeria? And what would be the best available, if it's not available in the United States easily, what would be the best available substitute?
So when frying akara, Niger style, Niger, shorthand Nigerian, it's not very short, it's like one letter less. Neutral oil. The neutral can be whatever oil you like having in your cupboard. I'm not a fan of buying something for one thing. So whatever neutral tasting oil you like to use, most of those have a high smoke point, meaning they won't burn. So peanut oil, avocado oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, I don't care which one you use, it can't have taste and it will do fine. But then when you look at the ways akara has traveled across the diaspora, and you look to Brazil and their acarajé, where they have taken this and then they said, okay, that's great, but let me add all these wonderful things. They fry it in palm oil, unrefined palm oil, red palm oil, which has a wonderful fruity flavor. And so those acarajé on the outside will pull in some of that orange hue from that red oil, and the akara will now have that fruity taste. And so I would suggest either making it in neutral oil or the red palm oil. But if you choose to, go have fun and make red palm oil, keep the heat low. Because it's an unrefined oil, it will burn and it'll start bleaching out. You don't want it to burn. Yeah, good question. All right, we're gonna test this again. See if it's ready. Nearly there. I see small bubbles, but not quite. And I know we're not supposed to technically, but if you guys want to try this, please note if you have allergies, shrimp bouillon's in here, peanut oil, shellfish, peanuts, not for you, not for you. I'm gonna give this a taste. Are raw beans delicious? No. But do you want to cook all of this and then find out it's unseasoned? Also no. So just try a little bit. And what you're tasting for is really your salt. Is it salty enough? Is it seasoned enough? It's so yummy. It's spicy because we put in the whole chili. But no more salt is needed, but I always suggest trying this because nothing here will hurt you. There's no raw eggs, there's no raw meat. It's just some beans and vegetables. So let's see if this oil is really taking its time. Does this fire? We're gonna crank it and hope we don't burn it. Okay. I'm gonna do a baby one. Because I also like to test. If you don't like testing like raw, what you can do is cook off. Kind of like the same trick you would do if you're making meatballs before you commit to the whole batch. Just make like a little chef snack. See how you like it. see if it works for you, and then you can commit to cooking the whole batch. This oil is basically there. So after a snack, we're gonna pull these out. But because we're shallow frying, you're gonna see a little piece of it poking out. And so you're gonna make sure you give it a flip. I like flipping it 2 times so it browns evenly. And then you're also making sure your center is gonna be done and not raw. Okay. This oil is gonna be nearly there. So then our next ones will be good. We're just getting this tempered. And so I'm just curious of what folks had. Have anyone here had Nigerian food in general? Yeah? What have you guys had? Jollof rice. Stew. And did you cook it or did you dine out?
I had an ex who made it for me.
Hey, at least he made you something. You didn't leave empty. Unfed. Anyone else out here? Oh wow, so this is the first. What about Kenyan food? Fufu? Okay, you've had?
There's an amazing vendor and caterer in San Diego. Sorry,
In San Diego.
There's an amazing Kenyan vendor in San Diego County. He occasionally comes up here for the LA County Fair as well. Highly recommend looking into him.
Okay, so this
Refugees
is
Foods.
okay. What's the name of it? I think I've been there. So basically, this is new for everybody. So even though this cuisine is new for you, how new are these? Does this feel familiar enough? Do we feel confident we can do this? Yeah? Okay, that's great. This is important. Let's fry some akara, or in this case, nuggets. So to our shaping question, I'm gonna bring this closer so you can see it in one. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can go full nuggets vibes and freeform, where you're just gonna grab and let whatever shape happen. And that's it. Or you can try to get it into like a football where you use your spoon and you're gonna let it curl off the side of the spoon. And those are gonna be like a little bit more with effort. And I would say just go in a circle, go around. There's a lot of us. I'm gonna make these smaller, so hopefully more of us get to sample these. But these are so easy to do. They're kind of like my, oh crap, I've invited people over, but I don't have as much food and I don't want to do a big grocery shop. Because lentils are something that are always in my pantry. They will go bad eventually, but way quicker. You'll cook them way quicker than they'll ever go bad. And so I use lentils in this recipe instead of the black-eyed peas because being also Kenyan, it's something I always have around. And so a lot of the recipes in Africali were built also with pantry staples in mind. I'm telling you, if you do not have red lentils in your cupboard, get some, because they cook in like no time. They're incredibly delicious, very healthy. They mix with every flavor you throw on them. And so we'll do that batch. And you see, I wish I could see what you could see, but I'm gonna pretend that you can see everything. I'm gonna switch to this guy. And so once you see browning around the edge, that's when we're gonna give it a little flip. Nice golden brown. They're so quick. And we're just doing a shallow fry. And if you wanted, you could deep fry this as well. And if you deep fry it, you could do more because you kind of can just plop them and do like 20 at a time if you're comfortable with that. But you just want to make sure they're not blazing fast because if this oil gets too hot, they'll get super dark and you'll be like, oh, these cooked in 10 seconds, fabulous. And the middle will be totally raw. So be patient because this recipe is pretty quick enough. You can spend 2 minutes maybe to 3 minutes on each one and letting it go. And you can even see here, hopefully camera's moved, it started deflating a little bit. And so we don't have a mixer here, but if you find that you're making this at home, maybe you made the batter hours before your party and you're like, oh crap, I put all this effort, you can even see the difference in texture to make it fluffy and now it's gone flat. Doesn't mean these have to be flat. You take a whisk, you take a KitchenAid hand mixer or stand mixer with the whisk attachment, let it run for 5 minutes, it'll be exactly like that all over again. So you can do it ahead and you can salvage it if it starts going flat on you. So I'm gonna flip them one more time, just so one side doesn't get too brown, but I really am making sure now that the middle is getting cooked. So we don't have raw bean dough, but also if you accidentally serve people undercooked lentils, they will live. They will not be food poisoned by this. So don't stress too much about it, but try to make sure they're not cooking too quick. You see what I mean by the self-garnishing? You can see the colors, all of those are already poking out, so you don't need to throw parsley on at the end because you can still see it.
What are some other things you have on your menu at the pop-up?
Ooh. So on our menu at Giacone, we are doing a residency, so it's 1 month. We just finished weekend 2 yesterday. We're rotating some stuff out, but our things that are not leaving the menu per request of everyone is a Swahili biryani. So if you've gone to an Indian restaurant, you'd be like, biryani, finally, something I know. It's different. So in Kenya, the biryani is a very saucy situation. So we don't mix the rice. So the bottom, you have that colorful yellow and white saffron basmati. And then on top is like a very luscious, slow cooked gravy that we do with short rib. So it's spices, it's yogurt, short rib gravy, lots of crispy shallots on top, and then fresh herbs. So that's been everyone's favorite, so that's definitely staying on the menu next week. Question?
I'm sorry, I don't know if I missed anything, but what is something that you put that they go together like that?
As far as to shape?
Yeah.
It's chemistry. The beans, they are gravitating towards each other, and so nothing is separating. But this is why we soak it. If you were to take lentils right out the bag and whip it, they haven't released any starch, they're hard, and so it'll just be lentil gravel, lentil sand. It's from that soaking process, they're soft, and they create their own little self-glue. So they are self-binding. Because a lot of people are like, okay, these are light and fluffy, there has to be a leavener, baking powder, baking soda. It's just beans. They don't need much else. So I'm gonna pull out this batch. Now that our oil's all tempered, I'll let these two go a little longer. I don't think the edge of this pan is hot. And then we're gonna do more. And so for folks who are intimidated or maybe have been burned on the wrist too many times by frying, the first thing you need to do is realize the further you stand away from your oil, the more likely you are to get popped. The farther you're plopping it, you're gonna have that splashback. So number one tip to not get any oil splash on you is to be close, which feels counterintuitive, but be close to it. The less it's dropping, the less it's gonna come back on you. So tip one, stay close. Number two is don't do it to your face. So don't plop it this way where if it does splash at all, it's gonna hit you. Make sure it goes to the left, to the right if you're left-handed, to the back. I do it to the side for these. So then if the oil splashes, it's gonna go over there. It's not gonna go on me. So stay close and drop it away from you. This goes with everything. You're frying chicken, away. Samosas, away. Just keep it not towards your face. And you don't have to worry about being splashed with the oil. I'm just gonna do little plops, make more footballs. I'm gonna pull these guys out. And two. And then let's see. I'm gonna break one open for you guys so you can kind of see what the inside looks like, which is gonna be light and fluffy and just like fully done. No idea where these cameras are. It's here. Oh, I see it moving. There we go. Very nice. And so what you're looking for is just like no raw dough in the middle. and nice crisp outside. And then when you're ready to serve it, it already is salted. That's good. But if you like salt like me, you're just gonna do a very light sprinkle while they're still hot. If you garnish or sprinkle salt on your food after it's cooled down, as soon as you pick it up, salt's going down. So while they're still warm, give them a really light sprinkle for final seasoning. So as soon as you bite on the outside, it like hits your tongue and like all your senses are awakened and it's like joy. And then you scoop it and it's like, okay, now we're having a good time. So make sure you season while it's still warm, but go really, really light because they're seasoned in the middle and we don't want to overdo it. So we're going to give these a flip. Are we allowed to serve? Because if you say no, I'm going to still do it. But like, I'm just curious what our lane of order is. See, now our oil is going. The first batch, I'm sorry if you get the first one, the oil wasn't a little hot, so it might have absorbed a little more. But now we're running. This is very much in that lane of like the first pancake, you know, but if you wait till the end, they're gonna be good. The oil is perfect temperature. They're gonna be nice and crusty outside, fluffy inside, and then you will have your own little taste of Nigeria. Thank you. I think that's a yes.
Question for you.
Yes.
Can you use any lentils, or does it have to be pink lentils?
So each lentil has its own chemistry. If you've ever cooked the like yellow ones are so much grittier and like sandier. And like I said, if you like that, cool. This is very much legume land. Every legume has its own flavor profile. It's gonna behave differently chemistry-wise. It'll still be delicious, it'll still be edible. But like if you want light and you want like air and whip, the red lentils are amazing because they're split. They're like in half and they're really thin. And so they soak nicely and they just fluff up really, really well. So if you're not doing the lentils, I would actually suggest doing it with the original, with the black-eyed peas. And if you don't want to skin black-eyed peas, because I do not blame you, there's West African grocery stores all over LA that sell them already skinned for you. They're going to have a longer soak time because beans are a lot larger than lentils. But if you're soaking overnight anyways, it's not going to make a big difference. So give it a soak and then try making it with that. But the red lentils, they're super cheap, they're super accessible, and they're quick. So I would suggest sticking with them if you could.
Hi, my name is Susan.
Hi.
My family is Zambian, and I grew up eating chapati. I love it
Yes.
so much. I was wondering if you have any recipes in your book or any side dishes that you think go together really well.
Yeah, so chapatis, this is kind of like our biryani thing. Chapati you'll have in India. It's not the same one you're going to get in Kenya. Kenyan chapatis are laminated, so there's like layers. You put fat in between the flatbread while you're rolling it. So it's soft, it's tender, it's like a little flaky. Are your guys laminated or do you guys just roll them? You also, with fat? So you guys are laminated too. So in Africali, we have 2 recipes for chapati. One is garlic butter chapati. So at the end, you brush it with like very delicious garlic butter. And the other one is a pumpkin chapati. So instead of making bread with water, you use pumpkin puree, which has a lot of moisture, delicious flavor, and actually makes a softer chapati because it's pureed veggies. It's not going to evaporate the same way water does. So it's like more foolproof. So if you've never made chapatis before, I suggest trying that one first. And then to eat with it, my grandmother, who I carry her name, Kiano, she's very adamant that chapatis go best with sauteed cabbage. And so we have a recipe in the book called Coco, my grandmother's cabbage. And it's very, very simple. You just take some shredded cabbage, some carrots, onion, massage it with salt, which is her trick. Because cabbage, if you ever cooked it, it's so bulky. Unless you're a caterer, you will never have a pot big enough to make a big pot of cabbage. So what she does is she massages the cabbage in a bowl with salt. It pulls out some of the water, so when she goes to saute it, it all fits in the pan. But also, you know, the cabbage is well seasoned, delicious, because you eat raw cabbage all the time in salads and tacos. So Coco's cabbage is the best side to eat with chapatis. Thank you. Any chance to talk about my grandma's recipes are great. I think we have 3 of hers in the book.
Another question?
Yes.
Hey, I wanted to know, what do you enjoy to drink with this? What pairs well?
With these? Oh, that's tricky. I'm not a big drinks person. I'm like water and tea all day, every day. So I would say, because akara is also very much like a breakfast item, and even though it's not West African, I do think that Kenyan chai is the best warm beverage you could ever have. We have a recipe from it. It's actually, I learned chai from my mom. I learned a lot of cooking from travel, cooking classes from my grandma, but my mom taught me how to make chai. Kenya grows tea the same way you're like, oh, chai is from India. The British, once they got their hands on some tea, they're like, oh, we like this a lot. And they're buying it from China. And the thing is, when you're a buyer, the other country sets the prices. So the Brits wanted their own tea supply. And so from their colonies, the 2 climates that could grow tea were India and Kenya. So a lot of people know about Kenyan coffee, but if you travel to Kenya, most Kenyans aren't drinking coffee. They're drinking chai. And they're drinking chai minimum 3 times a day. It's a huge part of culture. So we have a recipe for Kenyan chai in the book. My family are cattle ranchers, so our version is like very like, it's half milk, half water. But a warm cup of chai, these, and a piece of bread, that's pretty solid morning, if I have to say so myself. Okay, so these are done. What I'm gonna do is cut them in half for y'all, just so we can like demo them. But yeah, that's how you make lentil akara. Thank you so much.
So maybe we'll actually bring some of these over to the signing line. So,
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so purchase your copy of the book and you get to try some. See, we're thinking. But ladies and gentlemen, Kiano Moju, check out her pop-up. You can taste all the food. And thank you guys all for coming out to the 2025 Los Angeles Times Festival of Books. 30 years, here's to the next 30 years.
Oh yeah, we're closing you out. I forgot we're closing you out.